So I want to just take a moment to say a word on my own part, and then I'm going to introduce a relatively new friend who I think will be as impressive to you as he is to me, who will in turn speak about another somewhat older friend and marvelous American patriot. I've known Boone Pickens off and on for probably a decade or so, I think, maybe. I have come over the space of visits with him, I think virtually every time I'm in Dallas, to enjoy his company, of course, but also to be impressed by the caliber of not only the man's intellect and entrepreneurial creativity, but his love for this country. And I was thinking the other day as I was watching the hearings on Brett Kavanaugh about what it means to be an all-American these days. And unfortunately, all too often, it's the object of calumnies and other abuse. And a man who's been through a fair amount of it over the years is T. Boone Pickens, and nonetheless has consistently, year upon year, decade upon decade, both in his private sector leadership role and in his capacity as a great and very generous philanthropist, contributed to the well-being of this country in incalculable ways. So I just wanted to say my own word of thanks to his daughter Elizabeth, who is going to be here tonight to accept the award on her father's behalf, as he is a little unwell, I'm sad to say. But to give a proper introduction to both the man we're honoring with the Terry Elkes Sacred Honor Award is Andrew Whitney. Andrew is, to my way of thinking, one of the great new American patriots. He has this British accent that you mustn't let fool you, because he's all about his adopted land, trying to improve it, trying to give back to it, and do so in ways that I think Boone Pickens would find both familiar and admirable. In terms of entrepreneurial and strategic investing and nurturing of the kinds of technologies that are going to, I think, define the 21st century and America's perhaps greatest years of all. So with that, let me say that I am delighted to present to you, I think the first time to probably most of you, and certainly to a Center for Security Policy audience, Dr. Andrew Whitney. Welcome, sir.
Okay. Thanks very much, everyone. It's a tremendous honor to be here today with Frank and the whole CSP team and all of you, some of whom I know and I've had the opportunity to do some work with. Some of whom I know and I've had the opportunity to do some work with, but really terrific to be here. It's a tremendous honor to be giving this award to Liz for her father, and I just wanted to say a few things about that. As Frank can attest, I practically had to swim here from Puerto Rico to get to the event, but there was absolutely no way I was going to miss it. So I sort of came back via North Carolina to check on the wife and the baby, and then zoomed up here. I could go on for pages about the life of a man who has done so many remarkable things. So what I decided to do instead was just look at it from my perspective as an entrepreneur. and a guy who grew up wanting to be an energy entrepreneur. And as a kid in the 80s, sort of growing up in the UK, I was fascinated by great leaders like Ronald Reagan and these super exciting, business leaders like Boone Pickens. I would read avidly about them because to me it was this American leadership, boldness, bravery, adventure, spirit, these sorts of things, these game-changing moves these people would make. And I would read about all of that with just utter fascination. T. Boone Pickens built a tremendous empire from absolutely nothing, built it from the ground up, and it's really, really hard to do that as an entrepreneur. So that was tremendously inspiring to me as a kid from kind of the middle of nowhere in England. He pretty much wrote the book on mergers and acquisitions in the energy space. Absolutely a David and Goliath situation. And he also had the vision to look even further beyond oil. A lot of people have a career where they'll dominate in one area and they'll never go outside that and still be considered a giant. But he's just done so much more. In 1997, he called natural gas as being the future kind of core element of the US energy economy. And in 2018, as you guys probably know, the US became the world's #1 source of natural gas. So it's an amazing kind of vision there, because everybody called him crazy at the time. Like any true innovator, he's had his critics, but as the saying goes, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. If you want to make anything happen, you're going to ruffle a few feathers. And again, looking at his career as an entrepreneur myself, it fascinates me how successfully he's been able to pivot between so many different initiatives. When the prevailing factors are overwhelmingly against you, it can be very tough as an entrepreneur when you're 100% invested in what you do just to try and drive change. But it's a hallmark of a great man that you can change direction without getting caught up in your own pride and then go ahead and make it happen again and again and again. In addition to his incredible career, Boone Pickens has been a tremendous benefactor. His alma mater, Oklahoma State University, has been a real focus for Boone, and he's kind of broken all the records in terms of how much support you can put behind athletic programs and all sorts of other things at the university there, which has given tons and tons of young people great opportunities. He was a very, very heavy backer of relief efforts after Hurricane Katrina. He's done tons of stuff with at-risk teenagers and a whole raft of medical aid programs and programs designed to benefit young people all over the United States, which is just remarkable. He's also been a great patriot, and as Frank said, when he's not sort of supporting the energy security of the country by driving all these industries forward, he's supported conservative causes and candidates the entire time to protect the Republic. He also helped save us all from a potential John Kerry presidency, and frankly, I think that's worth the award on its own. So I never did get to meet my hero Ronald Reagan, but I did get to name my 17-month-old daughter after him, Reagan Ariel Whitney, and it's a. But when you're thinking about sort of heroes and things, it is a tremendous honour to be here presenting an award to a man and his daughter that I've admired since I was a kid growing up, wanting to be a great energy entrepreneur, and now I get to live in the United States of America and do that and build those technologies and things and generate American jobs and drive exports and solve problems. So it's hugely exciting in that regard. So there was no way I was going to miss it because of a little bit of slightly inclement weather. So, I could finish with an endless list of positive words about T. Boone Pickens, visionary, pioneer, leader, innovator, my personal favourite, entrepreneur, but ultimately just a great American and a true patriot. So hugely happy to give that award.
Well, thank you. And Frank, congratulations on 30 years. And Andrew, my dad would be so tickled that you mentioned this Swift boat. He would be thrilled with that. I asked my dad last night, I said, I have to come up here and speak on your behalf. And he said, oh, good Lord, please be quick. So I was reminded of a story when he was a very young man, and he took my granddad to hear him get an award. And he was a little bit nervous, and they were giving him all kinds of great accolades. And my dad usually has lots of words, but he got up there, and after they said all these lovely things about him, he could only say, thank you. And he went back to his seat, and he looked at my granddad, and he said, son, that was the greatest speech I've ever heard. And he said, Dad, I just said thank you. And he said, I know, that was the greatest speech I ever heard. So thank you on behalf of my dad. I was very quick. I know he'd be very proud of me. So you all have a good night. We get to go home a little bit early.